Dr. Addison, at the NDC side in Parliament, one of their key spokespersons on finance matters, ranking member on the Finance Committee, member of Parliament for Bolga Central, is Isaac Adongo. He's joined us on the line. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners.
I do know that you guys just finished a fight, and I'm using a fight advisedly, against the Finance Minister. If that fight is even over, where you are asking that he should be removed, you started censure proceedings against him and all of that. Now he's defending the central bank governor, and he says that the central bank is not supposed to be a profit-making institution. And so the attacks on the central bank boss is needless. What's your comment?
Well, Umaru, this is very unfortunate, and it's actually a sad commentary. You see, how do we know that the Bank of Ghana has made a loss? It's because in its reporting, it reported on a comprehensive income statement, which showed that the bank had made a loss of 60.8 billion. If the Bank of Ghana is not meant to make a profit, why is it reporting a comprehensive income statement revealing a loss or a profit? Non-governmental organizations that are not profit-making don't report comprehensive income statements, and they don't disclose profit or losses. They disclose deficit or surpluses. Is Ken Ofori-Atta aware of that? That because of its special mandate and its need to make a profit or loss, that is why the international financial reporting standards require such entities to report comprehensive income statement revealing profit or loss. They should go and be reporting income and expenditure and showing cash basis of accounting and arrive at deficit or a surplus and see any auditor will sign that report. So I am very surprised at these so-called Yale students who basically appear to learn nothing in school. So that is one. Two, so across the globe, central banks are set up to dissipate public funds. Is that what they do? That if there are laws governing the operations of central bank, they should ignore the laws and operate as they want and dissipate public funds. How can you talk about sustainability when an institution has just lost 70 billion of the reserve money of Ghana? The entire reserve money of Ghana is about 68 billion. The central bank money, bank or a loan, is loss on reserve is 70 billion, making the central bank clearly a policy insolvent institution. When we say you are a policy insolvent institution, what it means is that the institution can no longer perform its mandate because the foundations of its requirement has been destroyed. So how does it define sustainability? When a central bank today, which borrowed a lot of money on open market operations, has actually lost all that money. When a central bank, which went out and borrowed on the international markets, either in the form of swap, repurchase agreement, bridge finance, or term loans in order to support the Citi with foreign currency, has lost all that money. And the owners of those money will come asking us to pay for it. When they come, you go and tell them, we are not a profit-making institution. So we are allowed to waste that money you gave us. And we don't have it because we are not a profit-making institution. But we are a loss-making institution that has wiped up all your monies we came and borrowed. You have forced banks in Ghana to deposit with you prudential reserves because you are the best person to keep those money for a rainy day. Today, you are telling us that that money that the bank gave to you as reserve, you have squandered that money and that money has disappeared. And you say that makes you sustainable. Umaru Sanda, does Ken Ofori-Atta understand what he's talking about? What course did he read in Yale that taught him that you can do all of this and still be sustainable? We give you 10 million to go and manage monetary policy. You go and finish the 10 million and now enter into people's money and waste 60.8 billion. These are not paper money. These are people's money, real finances that we need to pay back. You are not telling us how you are going to pay back. and you say that is sustainable, and that you say across the globe that is how central banks work, that across the globe, if the laws of your country, your Public Financial Management Act, says that you cannot write off any public asset without coming to Parliament to get a resolution, a simple majority resolution. How about you, dear? Because you are not a laws-making, you ignore the law, and then you write off 32 billion of public funds. So imagine that Cocoa Board is also writing off. Ghana Water Company, they write off. ECG, they give money to their cronies, then they write off. VRA will give money to their cronies, and they write off. Will we have a country? Will we have public finances? I am disappointed in Ken Ofori-Atta.
But he explains that the BoG's action.
Of reasoning,
he says the BoG's.
We are where we are.
He says what the BoG has done is for the greater public good. Do you not want to consider that?
Public good, yes. The laws anticipated that there could be a situation where the central bank will be in trouble and has to write off, and has given a procedure for doing that. So you say that for the sake of public good, the law doesn't matter. And this is the chief compliance institution in Ghana that takes people's banks down because they don't follow the laws. But for it, the laws don't apply to it. It can decide that for the public good, the law that says don't write off 32 billion until you have come to tell the people of Parliament, and for them to be convinced and give you the mandate to go and write it off. However, you can do it without coming because it is for the public good. Who determines the public good? The people of Ghana, or you, the individual, determines the public good. Do we know what 32 billion was used for? When monies are roaming all over in people's bedrooms and polytanks. Is that what you did? You shared the money amongst yourself, and then you conveniently wrote off without coming to Parliament. And when we ask you, you say, oh, it is for the public good. What type of public good is that? Do you know what 32 billion can do for the people of Ghana? I don't think this man understands the things he's doing. If he does, he is probably, in the nicest sense, just mocking us. Because, you know, for him, his uncle or his cousin is the president. You can go to hell. And the governor can do what he wants because as long as he's sitting there with his uncle, nothing will happen. Otherwise, you work with laws in a normal democracy. And you follow the laws in a normal democracy. Least of all, an institution that is the chief compliance institution in our financial system. That is to make sure that everybody plays by the rules so that there is sanctity. Some of them, they don't play by the rules. They will come and say that, oh, they were the loss absorber. Who made you a loss absorber? Who made you a loss absorber of DDEP? Where in your act did they say that when Bank of Ghana, when the government, through Ken Ofori-Atta, mismanage the economy to the extent that it cannot pay the debt, you take the burden? Where in your act did we say that?
You and your colleagues.
Where in your act did we say that?
You and your colleagues want.
How can you waste 70 billion of our reserves and come and say that is sustainability?
Honorable, you and your colleagues want the governor out. Let me read from the purpose of my listeners who may not have read the article what the minister said about the governor, and then ask you to comment. There's a quote here. He says, Governor Addison is a competent professional of quiet courage. In these nearly 7 years, we have worked together to ensure the inviolability of the banking system, the establishment of the Consolidated Bank of Ghana, CBG, and the Development Bank of Ghana, the raising of over $10 billion in the Eurobond market and Afrexim Bank. He brought inflation down to single digits of 7.9% for the first time and managed an impressive period of currency stability in our country, including the implementation of the Gold for Oil program. These are the credits that the Minister of Finance gives to the Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Addison. Should you be nailing him because of his singular sin now, when over the past 7 years, according to Ken, he has been a professional, a competent professional in dealing with the sector?
Is that how he describes as competence? That you ignore the laws and wipe up the entire money reserve. That is the basis of all monetary policy actions of the government. You have destroyed all of them, making the Bank of Ghana unfit for purpose. you said you moved an inflation at a single digit of 7% to 54%. So because of that, your earlier 7% is enough to compensate for your sins of 54%. Is that what you're saying? If the city stabilized at 30% in 2016 and you have moved it to 54%, we should praise you because you managed it better some time ago. Why have you suddenly forgotten how you did it? If you are a professional, okay, do you manage the country based on your mood swings? That some other days when you wake up, your mood is so good that you manage it well for us. Some other day when you wake up and you don't have your medicine to keep you stable mind, you mismanage us. But all the time, we forgive you because you once did a good job. Is that what you say? What the central bank governor has done is the worst record that wipes off his entire career in the sector. He's talking about the banking sector. And I'll be doing something very soon. You heard a rumor that ADB is going to acquire NIB. You heard it. Tell Addison that the NIB was established by an act of parliament. Okay? The National Investment Bank was established by Act 612 of 1963. And that act makes it very clear under Section 62 that in the process of liquidation of that bank, Parliament has to pass a law giving directions as to how that process should be carried out. We know that acquisition of ADB of NIB has the consequential effect of liquidating NIB. So he should know about that legal issue. Two, he, the Bank of Ghana, who is the regulator, is even conflicted in this matter. This is the regulator who owns 54% of ADB that he wants to use to acquire NIB. This same regulator is the one who has provided regulatory forbearance to run down NIB so that it can be bought for peanuts. And this is a man that Ken Ofori-Atta is praising. Umaru.
Yes.
If ADB itself is struggling for capital adequacy, you know that. Bank of Ghana itself, who is a 64% shareholder, as we speak today, even needs recapitalization. So why is he going to get the money to give to ADB to go and acquire somebody? The government itself that owns 21% of ADB itself is going around telling everybody that I can't pay my debt. It is the reason the banking sector lost 18 billion in 2022. The GAT itself, GAT, which owns 11%, itself has a nominal capital of 1 cedi and is trying to use creative accounting to report redeemable preference shares is sold to government as equity. Why in this world have equity ever been returned to the places, the people who brought it? And I'm serving warning to Ernst & Young to apply the full extent of the International Accounting Standard 32, which is very clear that redeemable preference shares are preferred debts and cannot be used as capital because they must be returned to the people who brought it, and capital cannot be returned. So I am working on something. You will hear of it next week. You see, if ADB is having malaria, or let's say ADB is suffering from asthma, NIB is suffering from diabetes, you are telling us that you want to add asthma to diabetes and produce a healthy child. Why does that happen? So that man sitting there, Dr. Addison, is the worst governor I've ever seen, who doesn't even seem to understand the industry he's operating in.
Very well.
He's very conflicted in the matter of ADB and NIB. And next week, I'll be coming fully at him.
Okay.
Because we will not allow them to exercise the final stage of the state capture of ADB and NIB. You know why? ADB is listed on the stock exchange. They want to now add the bigger NIB to it and pretend that they are offloading their shares on the stock exchange, so they allot it to themselves and they take ADB and NIB. That is the strategy they are deploying, and we will resist them. So, Ken Ofori-Atta should stop praising people who don't even deserve to spend another day in the Bank of Ghana.
Wait to see.
The worst governor I've ever seen in terms of financial stability. CBG, who banks with CBG anymore? It is our national disgrace, CBG. When CBG took the 5 banks, you know the number of branches they had. They had 175 branches. When they took the 7 banks, they had 190 branches. Today, They have only 114 branches. What has happened to the rest of the branches? They've collapsed them. Is that the example he's telling us in a country that cannot even sustain NAPCO jobs? NAPCO jobs, we can't sustain them. You are sending people in sustainable jobs in our banks and financial sector home, and you are placing this type of person. We get it wrong?
In concluding the conversation, let me read for you another aspect. He talks about the Bank of Ghana headquarters itself. The story on Citi Newsroom says, let's support BoG to build a befitting headquarters, Ofori-Atta. Now, the specific paragraph that talks about that in his article, he says, and I read, with respect to the BoG's new headquarters, the evidence is clear that decisions to build had already been made long before these losses occurred. It is important for us to support such a critical institution to modernize its operations and have a befitting office space for a country that holds the after and has a vision to become the financial services hub of the continent. Is that justified?
Umaru, do you know that you are wished to have the best house at East Legon Hills? Do you know that?
I'm still wishing.
Airport Hills.
I'm still wishing,
yeah,
yes.
Airport Hills, I'm sure. If you tell Umaru which house is, Legon Hills.
No, not Legon Hills. Not Legon Hills. It's Legon. It's Legon.
Still and go to Legon Hills because you need a befitting place as the anchor of the news anchor of Citi. Or Bernard Avle will say, no, now I'm a big man. I'm the news anchor. I have a whole point of view. And I make Citi what Citi is. So please, I deserve Airport Hills. Is that what you do?
But except that it's not the same as what you are describing. The scenarios are different.
What I'm describing is that
the scenarios are different. The BoG started the process long ago.
Listen, the Bank of Ghana is owned by the people of Ghana. And the people of Ghana are represented in Parliament. We haven't told you to go and build any new house or any new office. We now want our money. You are broke. We are now asking, how come you got broke? And we realize that behind, on the blind side of us, you are building a $250 million property we don't even know. Now we are saying we need that $250 million to solve a bigger problem. You, as you are sitting there, you said that you were to set up a financial stability fund of 15 billion Ghana cedis. You are not discussing that, which is your core mandate. Your core mandate is to provide that 15 billion to resolve the financial challenges in the financial sector, which has shown 18 billion of losses, so that you will get back financial stability. You are not interested in that one. You are interested in immaterial things. Too busy, busybody. Busybody, you are busy with a bank office. When you don't have that 15 billion that your financial sector, you yourself told us, has lost and you provide. Your banking sector has lost 18 billion. You are busy discussing an office. I mean, what type of misplaced priorities are these? Look, you are very busy discussing how you buy somebody's bank. So the government owns the bank. He will sell the bank to itself, raise the money to go and buy the NIB bank itself at ADB, and turn around the next day and say, well, I no longer own NIB because I have sold it. Umaru, you build a house. You get up one day and sell the house to yourself. And then you move your children out of the house to go and stay in a rented property. The next day when the children ask you, where is our house? You say, oh, we have sold it. To yourself. Who paid for it? You. Who took the money? You. Is that how you sell things? I mean, simple logic. Umaru, if this is what they learn in Yale and Harvard, and I believe that they learn better things than that, in my next life, I'll still go back to Zansteg and Tamale Secondary School.
Wish you all the best, and thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
That's Honorable Adongo, Member of Parliament, Bolga Central. He is the ranking on the Finance Committee of Parliament.